I've got you on speaker. We're gonna get the stream thing going here in a second, then we'll kick off.
Can I shut that door?
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to send the signal of like you can't come in, but
Maybe do you have something that you could just prop it?
what's that?
Can you prop it?
Yeah.
There you go.
I was gonna say cheer and some of the other basketball teams are down there.
What's that?
Are we good? Oh, we are? Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to call us to order for Liberty Tree Academy's board for the November 21st, 6:30 p.m. meeting. It is now 6:34. Let's go ahead and do a roll call to establish our quorum. Mr. Geithner is here. Mr. Johnson? Here. Mr. Stukwich?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
And Mrs. Helland, who's on the phone. Are you there, Jenny? Very good. And Mr. Ward is excused. We do have a quorum. Pledge of Allegiance to Johnson. Pledge.
Right there.
Right there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I look to my right because it's
I know.
normally right there. Must be down there for the event. All right, mission and vision. Andy, would you read our mission and vision?
Sure. All right. Liberty Tree Academy's mission. Liberty Tree Academy prepares students through a traditional, content-rich education in a disciplined and orderly environment to be self-governing citizens who are equipped to carry out the vision of our nation's founders to preserve and perpetuate liberty. The vision. Liberty Tree Academy is dedicated to an authentic, traditional American education to be a community that actively cultivates character in a challenging and engaging learning environment.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Our founding father quote comes to us from John Adams. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. All right. We have the agenda before us. Just a little bit of discussion before we take a motion. We have the resolution to adopt the budget, which we can always do in December. We're ahead of time, but I wanted to make sure we had that printed out so that everybody could take a look at that and maybe talk about it tonight if we need to. But ultimately, I see no reason to amend the budget if we're good with meeting in December. If I can look around to see if there's any objection to that. Okay, very good. If I could have a motion to adopt our agenda, please.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, very good. And second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Very good. Is there any objection to approving our agenda? Seeing no objection, we have our agenda approved. Is there any board member reports? Any board member want to say anything since last we met?
Yeah, so I was able to come and attend both the Veterans Day assembly and then participate for some of the TCCC training last weekend, which was phenomenal. I'm super impressed that we're able to give that training to some of our teachers and staff here. I think a lot of good things have come out of that, some good insight from Tim and the team that presented. So kudos to having that available to our staff and really, really good training, I think, that he gave.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that. The Veterans Day festivities were really awesome. It's really cool to see not only the amount of community members from LTA who have served, but staff who have served. And it's really cool. I heard some kids talking about, oh, I didn't know so and so or this teacher served, and that was a lot of fun to see that. I'm going to steal a touch of Mr. Markle's thunder and talk about cross country state championships. I'll leave most of the details to Mr. Markle, but Liberty Tree Academy now has we're on the board. We've got 2 state competitors who ran their hearts out. It was a really challenging course. It was a lot of fun, some water involved, and they showed the Liberty Tree Academy name very well. So that was really exciting to go down there and see them run, see the team, and next year hopefully we can send a couple of teams. So that's about all I've got.
Very good. And I don't have anything. Jenny, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay, very good. All right, let's move on to principal report then. And Miss Summers, you're up.
Okay, you guys all have a copy. So the first part was the enrollment. So interestingly enough, I think we did have some families after the election that we found impacted their enrollment, and they decided to either go online or to have their high school, which was kind of interesting. I was curious how the election was going to play into enrollment. So we are having very good marketing things, which I think I may have in here later, but Tab and I went to an 8th grade night at RFCA because they don't go past 8th grade, and so we presented with some other high schools there. We have signs that we're making to do our enrollment because our enrollment for next school year just opened this week, so we're working on those things to boost up our enrollment. And then at this point, again, typically we don't have new families come in because it's past count day, but with enrollment down, we are opening that up. And so I know Mark's going to talk about one of our new cheer coaches, cheer director, and so she's got like 3 kiddos that are looking to transfer here in January. So we have some of those things that we're looking into that hopefully will help with those numbers.
Do you know what grades have been the most impacted with the enrollment numbers?
Really, it's the high school. And if it's the high school, then like we had one sibling, one in particular that then had like younger siblings as well. So then they all went. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask, when you did the presentations at like RCMA, was there like literature that was handed out, or was it just this trifold?
We had a trifold, and we had like a PowerPoint presentation, and then the counselor that's there at RMCA is going to pass out literature and like email literature out to their families. So we're working on getting that to them so that they can send those out to their families.
Do you have a rough guess of how many other schools were there?
There were 9 total.
Okay. And then is that the only school that we currently do that with?
Well, we hadn't done that before, so this was our first time with them, and so it kind of just was like, hey, that's a great idea. So now that we have presentations, I'm going to be reaching out to some of the other charters and schools that go up through 8th grade only, so we can do that.
Awesome. Do you know how our intent to returns are looking?
Gasper said they're looking good. We had a lot of those come back. She's working on those still at the beginning part of this week and collecting those from some of the stragglers. And then we've already gotten new enrollment applications coming in.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
For next year.
Yes. Last week before, we had our staff committee, so that was great. We had a good turnout with community members, family, admin, and Ms. Hoffman ran that, so we just kind of updated with the UIP, which we had kind of talked about earlier in the year. That was uploaded in October, and then we got some CD. We had a budget update by Ms. Miller. Ms. Altagani talked about the MTSS process that we have going. And we basically left the meeting with trying to have people brainstorm for requests that they have through this SAC, for the teachers in school, for how they did last year, so like playground and things like that. So we're reconvening in January, to talk about these things.
Can the board get notice of when those SAC meetings are? Because there's supposed to be a board member at those meetings.
Yes. The next one on here is, January 14th, but we can send an email to you guys.
Thank you.
I'll have Ms. Hoffman do that.
Yeah, I see on the SAC through our website, the SAC page, it looks like the meeting minutes for the September meeting are posted, but I don't see the agenda for November yet, or the agenda for the September meeting. There was almost a year of gap between September. No, actually, I lied. November 2023 and then September 24. So there's quite a bit of, it looks like information that may need to be updated.
Got it.
Yeah, it does all of 23. And then it doesn't, the only thing for 24 is September. So there's nothing from any previous month. So there's some updates there as well.
Okay.
Please.
For staffing, we just hired a new full-time TA to replace, one of our TAs that had moved, like a month or 2 months ago. Mr. Markle is going to talk, I won't steal his thunder, he's talking about the cheer director that we hired, for both of our cheer teams, and then we also hired a full-time second grade teacher, to take over the opening that we had downstairs. So now we are fully staffed, which is
Fantastic.
which is a positive. We're feeling good about that. And any questions on that part? I was like, y'all just holler at me if I need to slow down.
No, but that is a fantastic thing to be able to say that we are fully staffed.
And it's in good timing. Again, we have teachers and TAs who are phenomenal about subbing and helping out places. But this kind of gives us a little bit more breathing space, which is helpful. For testing, when we come back from Thanksgiving break, we're going to be doing our middle of the year testing through STAR 360. So that will come back, as well as Acadians. So lower school will have no school December 6th because they're doing their Acadians training for K-5. So it'll be a busy week back when they're back from Thanksgiving for lower school testing.
I'm back to my games. So cheer teams competed on Saturday at NCAA regionals. It was our middle school, they placed first, and our high school team placed second, just barely missing first place. Both teams are in qualifications for nationals. We started the process of getting everything booked. So we'll actually be going to Dallas again, January 23rd, and returning on the 27th. So we'll actually do opening ceremonies, and we'll have 2 days of competition and do a little bit of sightseeing while we're there. High school basketball tryouts began this week. We ended up having 24 varsity and JV boys. We had 31 boys try out. And our varsity and JV girls was the most we've ever had with 17. So we're actually going to have our first full season of JV girls basketball at LTA. Their first game is December 2nd in Manzanola, which is literally right after. So they're going to have 7 days of practice total. Then they're going to have 4 games in 6 days in the first week, and no home games for varsity until January. JV will have 1 home game in December, so we'll get that published as well. As Mr. Stuckwish had mentioned, cross country finished on November 2nd. We had 1 boy, 1 girl compete. It was fun to be there. Our cross country team came to the school during parent teacher conferences. They decorated the bus, as you can still see, it's painted still. They made signs, and then they spread themselves out across 3 miles, and they ran probably as much as the kids ran trying to cheer them on. They rode on the bus. They wanted to make sure that they knew that they were supported. As they've said, we hired Sarah Brown as our director of cheer. Parent teacher conference again. Her kids currently go to James Irwin. They moved up here. They were looking for a charter school closer to home because they live out on Judge Orr near Curtis. And they were like, you know what? We researched it. Let's just drive by the school. Saw the now enrollment sign. Came in, figured they would talk to us. Saw the sign that said doors are open. Just walk in. For parent teacher conference. So she came in, saw the trophy, started a conversation. Her background, she has coached all-star cheer starting with kindergartner, and she has actually been a college coach at Colorado or CSU Pueblo. So she has a large background. So we're really excited to have her here. Just this week alone, the girls have benefited from her. She was actually the tumbling choreographer and the dance choreographer for CSU Pueblo. So it's a huge key piece that we've been needing, especially for that choreography piece that'll make us a stronger team. Cheer will be performing in the Parade of Lights Christmas Parade in downtown Colorado Springs on December 7th. The parade will start approximately 5:35 to 5:50. Come out, it's going to be fun. The parents are all in. They're going to be decorating the float. The girls will be out there, and we pulled in Steven from our cross country team who plays guitar. He's going to be on the float with us playing Christmas songs going back and forth. Cheer High School will be competing at states on Friday, December 13th, and this will be our first year competing in states, second year competing at a main CHSAA event. Mr. Sucklish and I met with Woodman Hills Metro District to kind of further that conversation about the land. They will be holding a community meeting on December 10th at the Rec Center at 6 p.m. right after our basketball practice ends. They asked us to kind of send as many families over as possible that go to LTA that live in Woodman Hills to put their feedback in. The more that are there, the better, as we're kind of taking the next steps through the process. The next steps would be, what is the community wanting? What are their ideas? And kind of showcasing what we're already thinking. Woodman Hills has announced several different things to us that they were interested in doing, being basketball courts, swimming pool to actually start swimming teams, and then also having ice, along with a football field, track, and soccer complex.
What was the last one you said? Having ice?
Ice. So we can have ice hockey over on the side of the Springs.
Jenny, did you hear that?
Ice hockey.
I did.
So
There is a need for ice.
there absolutely is. So they're going to do sheets of ice. They've talked to several other people in the local area already looking to purchase more land to possibly expand that sporting complex from 31 acres to the potential, if they're able to get the land that's directly behind it, would be over 100 acres built towards the sports complex.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of took that next step. We've had 4 different companies send me estimated quotes just based off of Google Earth. This is what we're looking at, because we were all talking, our primary focus would be football, track, soccer complex, so that we're able to take that dimension, whereas Woodman Hills would be taking that rec center approach and being able to look at what they can build and working together.
Yeah, and one thing, I mean, we keep saying football, but, I mean, just lacrosse, anything that needs a large field sports-wise. So that would, the main need for us currently is our track. And then after that, to expand our sports, I mean, if we could add soccer, lacrosse, 7-man football, something like that, but it would be just a huge thing.
The sky's the limit with this potential partnership. Woodman Hills wants to be a part of the community. They don't want to just jump in and do things. We were talking to Carter and Marcus the other day. Their answer was, if it was up to the 4 of us that were in that room, they would have broke ground this week. They want to be able to get kids involved, specifically youth sports, so they're not sitting behind screens. They're not sitting behind video games. They're actually outside and they're doing things and working involved in getting AAU started, getting swim teams started. They are actually planning on starting a swim team at Woodman Hills Rec Center now. We're working on purchasing the starting blocks so that we can actually take that next step. And they're like, we'll train a coach. They have a coach in mind. They're like, so if you're ready to start a swim team, we have somebody in mind that might be able to be perfect fit for it. I met with Hellas Construction though yesterday. They wanted to meet in person. Hellas Construction did the track at Danny Lewis. They did a lot of high school tracks all across the state of Colorado. Their turf is actually turf used on 15 NFL fields and practice fields. So they come highly recommended. Their track ranges, and Mr. Stuckwich actually has samples that they brought to me. Track's my baby. They knew where to hit.
Go ahead, feel that.
So, there's 5 different kinds there. The one in the front is actually the most expensive one. That is actually a mixture. So they take the track material, mix it with the asphalt material, and it becomes a pour. They pour it straight down in. That actually will last for about 15 to 20 years, more towards the 20 years even in Colorado.
It's
The ones at the very, very
roughly 4
back
times.
are the lower cost. That's what a lot of the high schools do in Colorado. The difference is those are being replaced every 5 to 7 years in the state. They can do sprays. They have water seals on top, just like what you do on a gym floor. So you're talking the potential to actually do a navy blue track with Seahawk green, so that our colors are there. And they know where they're
Are they different?
Yeah. Feel that front one.
Look good to me.
So it's exciting to be able to kind of go there. He's working on all of the renderings and drawings that he can submit to us based off what Mr. Suckwish and I talked. And it's kind of, this is the dream, this is the vision. So he's going to piece that together and show us what it would look like. It was put on that property, and here's the cost for it, and here's the difference.
And we've been,
Track surface 1 compared to track surface 5. Track turf 1 compared to turf 5.
we've been talking about doing it in stages as well. So and Woodman Hills they're all ears, but I have to stress that meeting on the 10th of December, where they are taking a lot of community input. And if nobody but LTA shows up and goes, man, we really could use this, that, and the other, that carries a lot of weight. Woodman Hills right now, they're like Mr. Markle said, Carter and Marcus they were like, yeah, let's start it tomorrow. But depending on community engagement and what their stakeholders say, it can be put on, right up front or on the back burner. So they are very heavy into the community involvement, and this partnership, if it were to happen, would be, in my view, very beneficial to both parties. It's something that I don't think LTA would ever be able to do apart from something like this. I don't ever see, the land expense alone, let alone then having to build on it. It's something that it's a big proposition, but like we just talked about, enrollment numbers, our high school numbers are our weakest point, and that's where a lot of families are choosing sports and then school elsewhere. So that December 10th meeting.
Yeah. It's like I said, Hellas was putting together basic ideas such as like a field house, because you got to have locker rooms. One of that would actually be a cheer dance studio. So they have a changing room, but they also have practice facilities. Right now, we're still in the gym till 10 o'clock at night. We're some days starting practice at 5:30 in the morning, depending on what the season is. So it's definitely a huge step, and it would definitely benefit the school in the long term and benefit the community, especially with the number of houses that are expected to be coming in over the next couple of years. Last couple of things I got, bus information, I updated on that sheet, and Mr. Suckwish wants to share that with you guys. We're going to get another quote from a bus that's actually down in Oklahoma City, comes from a highly recommended company that several schools around here actually use. The difference is the buses that Rocky Mountain had are 48 passenger. The bus that Oklahoma City has actually is a 60 passenger. So it changes the insurance quote a little bit. So both insurance quotes are there, one for a 48 passenger, one for a 60. The difference is, yes, it's more expensive because it holds 60 people. It has storage that's underneath, which makes traveling a little bit easier. That's where the kids' bags go. That's where all your track gear and sports gear goes. But it also has that capability of being able to haul a whole team of 62 track kids, being able to take that expanse. And then there is a transportation fee. They would actually drive the bus here from Oklahoma City. And they take you on a tour, they give you all of the things. Everything that they showed me so far was way above board, and they had detailed records from the school that they had bought it from. The difference is it also has half the miles. Yes. You're going from 100,000 miles to 50.
The 60?
Yes.
Yeah. The insurance information, it doesn't add a whole lot between a 48 or a 60 passenger either.
And those were based off of estimated like November 11th. So the insurance company was like, if you were to buy it on this day, this would be the insurance cost. That way we could see an estimated time. The last thing I got, speech and debate. We have one girl on the team. She's going to, I believe, her third competition. Last one was a speech. Tomorrow is actually a debate, and it's actually legislative. So she has several different bills and different things that she had to memorize in order to be able to go out there and actually debate. They will tell her whether she is pro or con when she gets there.
Oh, okay.
So it's that. So you have to prepare
That's cool.
yourself for both sides.
Okay. Ms. Summers, back to you.
So this first bullet point under elementary really goes under both because Mr. Craig is our lower school music teacher, Miss Yeager is our upper school music teacher, and they've been working together
Thank
to.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Markle.
Thank you. Our Christmas concert, which is going to be on December 14th, and so it's for our we have K through 6, then we have middle school choir and high school as well. So we're super excited. We did that last year, and it was a really fun event. So the kids are already excited and talking about their outfits. So we've been working on finalizing all of those things as well. First grade, well, with our Snowmageddon, their Cheyenne Mountain Zoo field trip was obviously not during the snow days. So they just went today and had a great time. They came in looking all windblown and exhausted after they came back from the zoo. So it was a perfect weather day for them, considering the last time they were supposed to go. Over there on that table, you'll see some certificates for the math club that we have. And tomorrow during our lower school assembly, Ms. Tafoya is going to be presenting them with their medals that they earned. So some of our GT students are part of this math club. They chose to be a part of it with Ms. Tafoya, and so they have been practicing and really enjoying it. So we're excited for that opportunity for them. And so if you were down at the art show downstairs, you saw them trying to sell candy. So they're also doing all their marketing skills as well. So we're really excited for them. And then kindergarten is reporting really great growth in their academic performance as we're doing our progress monitoring. They've been doing a really great job. And by the way, theirs is the performance for tomorrow for the assembly. So if you'd like to see something really adorable, they have a song and a little skit kind of thing that they're doing, and they were adorable practicing today. So that's tomorrow morning at 8 with kindergarten. And then with secondary, we had Army recruiters coming in this past Monday, and they spoke with high school students. Again, once we finish the ASVAB, we just try to, Ms. Trainer's been working on getting people to come in and just kind of present, here's some different opportunities, here's careers that you have, and so then the students have questions. And it's the same guys that came to test with the ASVAB as well, so they kind of just try to make a presence and get the kids comfortable and have conversations with them.
What was how did you gauge student interest? Was there numbers? Was it a all call? Was it?
It was just presented to the upper school, in their classes, so it wasn't just specific students. We try to teach all of them because you never know.
Sure.
There's a good handful, including my own who graduated right, who still are trying to figure out life. So we just try to present it to all of them because then a lot of times we had some last year that were thinking they were going to do one thing and then ended up doing military things. So we just try to present it to all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have, again, upper school teachers have been doing a great job just really working together to support upper school when we have people who are out and all those kinds of things. So we have a great culture up here with those guys. And they have, tomorrow's going to be busy. They have a pep rally tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to have a full day. So that's tomorrow before dismissal. And then the only thing we have for facilities, it's been relatively quiet, is for the Veterans Day assembly, the church that rented the space downstairs had donated the flag. It was a little too big, so then student council donated another one for the Veterans Day assembly, so that we had that out there for our assembly that we had. And then it's the summer.
I was able to get the quarterly bond meeting reports to our trustee on the 13th, and then also provided a finance number to on the 12th for review and recommendation. It sounds like that will just be extended, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like what we'll do is we'll just incorporate that as an actual action item for December, the adoption of the budget.
Gotcha.
Okay. But having this available for us to see in advance, very, very helpful.
Okay, good. I spoke with Mrs. Summers regarding our fundraisers and the applications that we received. Some of our stuff is a little inundated or older and needs to be revamped and try to make it a little more lucrative to how it's presented to the business office so that we can add it to the budget and that kind of stuff. So we're able to get that completed. And our whole team filed their extension for this past year, 88, the Form 8868. So our 990 should be available hopefully within the next couple of months. And I do have a capital needs assessment that is due to the building corps, and I had solicited a couple companies, but I'm not getting a strong response. So if anyone has recommendations, that'd be great. But it is a requirement. It, I think, has to be done every 5 years, and it is an expense to us to have the capital needs assessment completed. So I have 30 days to give the bondholders our proposals. They have the right to approve it or request additional companies to bid on the CNA. So I'm just waiting to kind of hear back from that.
Have you connected with Dustin by any chance to see what he would advise in terms of who could actually perform the capital needs assessment? It might be worth us checking in with him to see if he has a specific name that we could use. Do you mind emailing him and then just CCing me on that email?
Sure.
That would be great. I suspect he'll have some thoughts.
Okay.
That would be helpful.
And then I wasn't sure, there is a call that needs to get made to the bondholders. Did we schedule anything?
I think I did one in August, and I feel like they're every 6 months, but I could be wrong. Maybe that's question number 2 to Dustin as well. He usually...
Well, he responded back and said that he didn't think that he was involved in that, but I did get something from our trustee that we need to set something up. I believe it was in October or November.
The last 2 calls that I've been on, he's coordinated, and he's been on as well.
Dustin?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I will do that. And that's it for me.
Okay.
So lately it's been busy with D49. Last week I had 2 meetings with superintendents. Wednesday, Peter Hills and Dr. Gutierrez came out and they did what's called our SPF, which is our school performance framework. And so I kind of pulled the team together. I had Ms. Altagandi, both of our ICs, Ms. Tucker, Ms. Hawkins, and work with the staff and the districts to sit in, and Peter went over basically this fancy spreadsheet that the district had come up with for each of our schools. And we talked about this last month where Logan had come out from the district with Ms. Alfiani and Ms. Hoffman and I to explain what this spreadsheet looks like and how it's relevant to us and how it impacts our instruction. And so Peter basically came and kind of explained that again to our whole team so that we could be on the same page as far as when we're doing our MTSS interventions and things like that and working with the teachers in the classrooms. And so again, really refers back to our UIP with our math growth that we need, which was really our one area that we needed to improve on. So Peter really just confirmed what we already had put in our UIP, but it was a great meeting and he had some really good information for us. So it was just nice to kind of have our whole team together for that. And then the next day, Dr. Gutierrez came out with her team as well, and Matt Barrett and Jeff McIntosh came with them. So they also do, again, all of that framework, like that spreadsheet is what those guys and their team work on. And so really they just wanted to see how they can support us because they're huge in how they can collect data and make it simple for our teachers. So there's our testing data that we get back, whether it's state testing or our benchmarks with STAR, how we can make that simple for our teachers to use actually in the classroom versus, hey, this is a really beautiful report, but as a teacher, it can be super overwhelming to look at all of that and how do I actually apply that to my teaching. So that's kind of what I talked about with them. and we were just brainstorming different ideas. And again, we were really just looking to how can we support you.
Did they project a timeline for potential data sharing? I mean, I think it's good that there's, I guess, a discussion going on, but I'd be very interested to know what data timeline as to when that data would be available. Does that make sense?
As far as like the
Yeah, I mean, if there's brainstorms great ideas for collecting data that would make providing classroom interventions a much easier process for our teachers,
Yep.
that data specifically.
So they did not really give a timeline. They said it would take them, like they're going back to their team to kind of brainstorm on their end, like all the back end things that they have to do technology wise to create those reports. And then basically we would just be able to come to them once they're ready for that, and it would take them maybe 2 or 3 weeks to put those things together for the teachers and then get it out to them.
If we could, before there's any data shared, I think the board needs to be aware of what that data is specifically.
Okay.
And then the board can approve whether or not that data does get shared with D49. But I think that's just in terms of like data privacy and whatever else. I think that's going to be a sensitive topic that the board is going to want to have hands on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And then the last thing on there again was when Ms. Tavernier and I went to RMCA last Thursday and did that presentation. And so again, there were 9 other high schools from D49 and the iConnect zone in the district to present. So it was a really good night, and actually just to be around the other schools that were there, it was a really good community and collaborative night to be together. So that was good. And then the last section is again, we're still working on sending our teachers to Hillsdale training. So last month we had Ms. Kaiser and Mr. Brinkley go for a science training, and they went to St. Louis. And then Altagami and I have been talking about when we come back in January, we have 2 full days of PD for the staff. And so looking at getting these teachers that we had go to Hillsdale come and present to the rest of the staff the things that they, walked away with from those trainings, so that they can kind of share their information with the rest of the teachers. So we're excited about that, and all the teachers have come back really excited when they've gone to those trainings and found it super helpful. Ms. Russell already kind of talked about our Veterans Day assembly, and honestly, those to me are super enjoyable. You get all the kids across the school together. Parents shared all of their photographs that they had of either current family members that were serving or veterans from their family. And so it was just a nice piece to have everybody all together. I always enjoy those. We had a good turnout of families and different veterans as well, so that was a really fun day. And that was a super busy day because Dr. Rochel was also here. We talked about that a little bit last month. So he was the one that Mr. Manley had set up for us that came out from Seattle. So he was back. He was here the whole day Friday and worked with both of our ICs. And literally, they had back-to-back observations the entire day that they'd already set up with both upper and lower school teachers. And so they went in, gave the teachers feedback, and it was also kind of like a coaching session for both of our instructional coaches with him. So he can kind of talk about the observation process and coaching and things like that. And then he gave our PD that afternoon to the teachers. So the teachers have really loved working with him, and he had really good things to say as far as the growth he's seen and kind of just the attitude of the teachers, and just a positive way of wanting feedback and wanting input and showing that they're implementing those things in their classrooms. So it was a really good day with him. Again, Ms. Russell already talked about this. We had our CCCC medical training on Saturday, and Tim Kistler was here for that, and we had 11 staff in attendance.
Is there a plan to do reoccurring training, or is just one and done? What's the idea?
That one, the CCCC for now is just that one. I am working with some of Ms. Russell's people from the hospital that are going to be coming and doing stop and bleed training and things like that. So we can have some ongoing other trainings. Obviously, as some of you, if you walk in the front door, saw that art show that's downstairs, which is our K-12 students. So it's great that Ms. Howell and Mr. Kearns have put that on, and you can see all the hard work that the kids have done. We figured tonight was a great night between the board meeting and the basketball that we're going to have a building full of people, and the kids would want to come and show off their artwork. And I always talk to Mr. Kearns and Ms. Howell in the hallway and said, it's just great to see a creative outlet for our kids, and you see. Again, they're super creative in some of the things that they made down there. So we're thankful to have both of those teachers in the programs here. And then this Friday, so tomorrow, we actually have parents who are coming to kind of provide a Friendsgiving lunch for our staff. So they're doing some Caesar sandwiches for the teachers, and so they're super excited to be able to come just partner and help our teachers and kind of bless them for Thanksgiving. And then everyone's ready to go. So as soon as the kids go home, everyone's going home and crashing tomorrow.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's go into board discussion. I know we got a little bit of a preview on buses, but Andy, I'll turn it over to you.
So, let me pull this back up, but, while I do that, does anyone have any questions on what Mr. Markle has gathered or what he talked about?
I think
Earlier?
just that information sheet that he's seen.
I just put that on the Google Drive.
Okay. I think, could you circulate that via email? Do you mind?
Yes.
I think
and
Jenny's having.
What I can do is I can add, it's a live document, so
Okay.
let me forward everybody the live document,
Perfect.
and then the, what's in Google Drive right now is just as of today.
Okay.
So, but
Hey, Andy, I think my only question would be, I'm not the sports person here, so my question would be, do we need a 60-kid bus?
So, the 60 passenger bus is by far the most expensive. As of right now, I know it would be really, really nice. I don't like the price of it though.
Okay.
I don't know anything about what engines any of these have. I don't know. Back in the day, they were just the 7.3 Power Stroke, same thing out of like the Super Duty trucks. I don't know what these have. I can tell you that being diesel, as long as the interiors aren't torn up and it hasn't been beat up from bumper to bumper, something with 100 to 150,000 miles doesn't really worry me that much. Again, I'm kind of thinking as diesel in the large picture, but the motors themselves can run for a long, long time if they're taken care of. The price difference between a $90,000 bus and a $28,000 bus, I don't know if that justifies going from a 42 or 48. Yeah, 48 to a 60. I do know that one of the other things with the 60 passenger is the storage was really nice, but I mean, if we talk about, he brought up the track team being already over 60 kids strong plus coaches. If we take it for a high school basketball, boys and girls, varsity and JV, we're, what was it, 31 and 17?
And typically you have both those games like together. You would be boys and girls going for
Yeah,
one of
just
them
like tonight we've got middle school. It went girls B, boys B,
Okay.
girls A, boys A.
Okay.
So I mean, I can tell you that with a 48 passenger bus, it would be a huge help. Speaking as a parent of now a high schooler and a middle schooler, there's a lot of driving and a whole lot of, hey, I'm free, I can haul up to 6 tonight. Hey, I can haul 7. Oh, well, my kid can't go because we can't get a ride, and so on and so forth. So the need for a bus is very large. I don't know if now's the time to swing for a 90 grand bus, but I can tell you that with the other three options, number one is a 2012 International. It's got a little over 110,000 miles, 28 grand. Number two is a Thomas C2 at 128,000 miles, 30 grand.
Are both those 48?
All three of these are,
Okay.
are 48. Yeah. Option number three is a 2010 Thomas with over 130,000 miles, and it's 27 grand. So,
And are those all local?
those, all three are from Rocky Mountain.
Bus.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They're right there
Yeah.
on 25.
Can I just add something though to this discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think we need to go and like kind of look at what other similarly sized and whatever charter schools. I understand that like getting kids to activities aren't pain. I think in middle schools in general, whether it's traditional or charter, there's no busing. The parents, it's all on the parents. And most charter schools, it's on the parents to get the kids to the activities. I understand like that's an inconvenience. I guess where I'm struggling is with how rapidly our enrollment seems to be dropping. Is this the right time to go get a bus? I guess that's where I'm struggling the most with this.
Yeah, I wish enrollment numbers were going up while we were having this discussion. I guess my initial thought to that is there's still the need. I know I've spoken with I always get the acronym wrong, but Colorado Springs Charter School, and their principal is really hoping that we get a bus so that they can rent from us, and so I do think that there are ways to help offset the cost. I think that no matter what, the need is there. I think that's another reason why, rather than looking at a 60 passenger, all the bells and whistles buses wouldn't be prudent. But if we're talking about a third of that cost, which is still, I'll use the most expensive 48, that's $30,000. That's still 30 grand. But if we can try to offset that cost at all by renting it and other things, if we can sell one of the smaller buses that we currently have to help, I think that the need is not going to disappear. So,
what is the estimate for the selling point of one of the small buses?
I think Marco told me about between 8 and 14,000, something like that.
And that's if we were to sell back to Rocky
Correct.
Mountain, but if we sold directly.
Private party, it could be more than that. I'm not an expert in
I think we have
sales,
to.
but
I think we would have to know both simultaneously. Like, what do we think we could sell one for? And then Jenny, I don't know what your thoughts are. If maybe condition of buying is based on, or decision on buying is based on the ability to sell, rather than holding on to.
I guess if it was more use than just sports, like we're talking field trips, but if I think, okay, if we start talking about like using it for a field trip, what our, grade and let's say fourth grade wants to go on a field trip, that's what, 54 students?
yeah, I don't.
So then we're in a situation where it's not really helping with field trips. But again, some schools, like I know MA, right? They have parent chaperones.
But then again, too,
So maybe they can do that for field trips. I don't know.
you have 48 in the big bus, but then we still have one other bus left, right? And how many are in the short bus?
14.
Yeah.
And technically, if we're selling one that has 14 seats and we're acquiring one that has 48 seats, that's what increase a net gain of 30. I'm doing math on the fly. 36 seats, I think. Am I right? 36.
We have 14 and 14 right now. 28.
We have 214.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to 48.
If we were to go to 48, we would sell. Yeah, we would sell
Yeah.
one, but we would have a net gain of about 36 seats.
And the other thing I'd be curious to know, Andy, is
34 seats.
if we rent out the bus, I think we briefly talked about this last time. What is the revenue that we could be brought in for renting out the bus?
Where did that email go? So, just based off of what that school is currently paying, which is a little bit more than what D49 charged us, the numbers escape me, the exact numbers, but it was for a 1-day rental was about $800, I want to say.
Depends on the hours, cause I think it's
And
$10
the mileage.
So,
42
right, I
cents
know
a
it
mile,
was,
and
it
then
was
like
20,
$35 an hour.
yeah, something like that. But, for a 1-day trip, it was about, and that was a full day, right?
Right, but there was one that I think was quoted at 1,200, but to rent our bus was different. But are we going off of what District 49 charges us, or are we going off of what
So,
we were going to rent it for?
what we would rent it for, which looks like, sorry, my.
Because I know it was less than what District 49 was going to be charging us.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so, because that was pretty
It was-
hefty.
It was more than what 49. They're currently,
There would have been a savings to the other school to rent from us as opposed to renting from D49.
it wasn't from D49, but yes.
There are
so-
other alternatives. The next closest alternative.
Correct, but that number was still more than what we were charged from D49. So we would
Got it.
get more money than what we charged from D49.
With the conversations that you're having around this other charter school potentially renting, do we know what calendar, like what their calendar would look like, and if it would conflict with what we would need? 'Cause
So
the better there's more awareness there is on the calendar.
yeah,
The
so
less
the way
conflict.
I proposed that to her is we would have a calendar for the year. We would take the days that we needed, and then they would work around that.
Okay.
They were talking between 20 and I think upwards of 26 trips for field trips and things like that they would rent the bus from us. And I don't think that each one would be a whole lot of miles like that. But I've got the email now, and what they would want is they were proposing they would pay $30 an hour and $5 a mile. And again, then she goes into how we would schedule that up. So their needs are more field trips and things like that. It wouldn't be any sort of last minute. And I made it clear that it's more or less it's our bus. If we need it, we're using it.
Is it local travel that they're looking at, or
Yeah.
are they looking for? Okay.
No, it's all local sort of stuff.
Okay.
But it would be for, the mileage might not be very high, but the hour would be.
Sure.
They would need it for the vast majority of a day. So,
You're probably looking at about $500
Used.
per use, yeah.
yeah.
So times 20. I mean, there's $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. The insurance, I did not have a chance to look at the insurance numbers. He just got that right before the meeting tonight. For a insurance information for the bus, 48 passenger bus, total additional prorated premium for the year is $750. Total additional annual premium is approximately $1,048. So about $1,100 a year in insurance. For the 60 passenger, that 1,048 goes up to 1,096 for the year. So not a lot of difference on the insurance side of things.
Does he have on there what we're currently paying for insurance, so we can see a?
I think it's in addition.
No, he only has listed the additional.
We probably need to include that so we can see what our basis point is currently and what we would be incurring in addition to.
Let me see if he can answer that right quick.
I've been texting him, he's not responding, so I asked Mrs. Ferris to go find him.
We can
Okay.
we can just get that. If he
Sorry.
Can, no, that's good. If he can just update that on that live form to say, hey, this is what our insurance costs currently. And I think the other thing to forecast is Miss Miller in the budget.
That should be on the budget.
Yeah, along with maintenance is in there as well.
But I mean, our current insurance.
Right.
What about a driver?
Right. And then the only other driver consideration, I think there was discussion as to who currently has a license.
Yes, we have a gentleman that currently drives for District 49. who helps out, and he would be willing to.
I think what we need to do is on that sheet, we need all of these, what prices or
So
price points are currently we're committed to.
Yep.
Maintenance, fuel, insurance, what have you.
So I can tell you to get a CDL, it's up to 90 days, and it ranges from 3,500 to 6,000 for any additional
Right.
drivers. And
Yeah, I think we need to build out that form or that document a little bit better so we can see current costs versus projected costs.
Also, has there been any exploration, and I mean, Andy, you probably know this because you've kind of been taking the lead on this, maybe you've done this, about us doing exactly what this other school has approached us to do with a school that has a bus? Like, I'm sure Banning uses 49s, but like with James Irwin or any of those schools that do have a bus already, if we rented from them, would it be cheaper than 49?
I have not looked into that at all. I just was talking with Markle about how much that bus cost us, and for the amount of use that we would use it, that it would be a lot more than just purchasing a bus. I mean, if
Sure.
that would, yeah, it's kind of apples and oranges at that point where you're renting a bus. I'm just trying to think. We'll go with the high school schedule, 4 games in 6 days, all away. And the first one's down in Manzanola. So we travel great distances for our sports teams at LTA. So it would be a lot of bus rental money going out. So I don't have exact numbers on that. I don't really have any numbers on that because it didn't seem feasible to me. I can ask Markle to gather some of that info and see, but with the amount of miles.
I just think from a due diligence perspective, like we ought to. That's kind of my only thought on that.
Yeah, like different COAs. COA 1 would be to buy and sell, meaning sell the small bus, buy a 48. Course of action 2 could be, renting, whether it's, I know Monument Academy used to have buses, Jenny, I don't know if they still do, but I had heard that they
sent out back, so I don't really know what's going on with that.
They
but
didn't
I know
have
James
licensed,
Irwin does, for sure.
They didn't have licensed drivers, and so their buses sat. So maybe there is an opportunity where we can with some other schools just to see what they would charge us.
Cool.
And that could be like a course of action too.
Or, maybe we get like another school, if we buy a 48 and they buy a 48, we scratch your back when you need it, you scratch our back when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we just lost her. Hold on. Oh. Are you back?
Yeah, that was the hang up button, not the mute button.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think we just need to round out that live document a bit, so that we can kind of get a clearer picture before we make a decision. It does sound like we're more interested in the 48 seat bus as an option as opposed to the 60.
Yeah.
Seeing as there's a huge price difference. Okay. Jenny, can you talk principal evaluation?
Yes. So sorry, I'm at a strike night for a musical that's happening this weekend. So if anybody, does have nothing going on Friday or Saturday, come watch Elf Jr. at Colorado Christian School, or Colorado Springs School. So principal evaluation time is here again. We are required to do an evaluation twice a year. One pursuant to the outline that we provided, D49, when we kind of were looking at, restructuring some things at LTA. We said that we would start the process here in November. I sent out late today some, two surveys. One, a proposed parent survey that would go to the parents, and a second staff survey. We always do one staff, one parent survey that would go out. I will, unless anybody has an objection to this, I will go ahead and create a principal evaluation tool for the board to use, and I will send that out as well. I would like to get those surveys out, so hopefully we can have an executive session on the 19th of December, which I think would be our next board meeting, where we could meet and go over the return on those surveys, and everybody fill out the principal survey or the principal evaluation ahead of time, so that on the 19th we can create a document that then we can present to Ms. Summers and Ms. Altagonte. My question is, should we do one for each? Because we have this kind of interim position going. We said Ms. Summers is kind of the top, Ms. Altagonte is supporting her. Are we doing this? I think if we send these out, we need to be very clear who the evaluation is for.
Yeah, I think that if we're not clear, I think it's going to create confusion.
Right, like are they doing the administration? Because I think in years past, sometimes we send it out and we get stuff about the deans, right? Well, this is this is an evaluation tool of the the single school leader. I mean, people can write about the deans if they want, but it's just harder to, I think, wade through the comments.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So we can do one for each of them. We can do, Summers and Altagonte. I don't know if everybody's going to fill out two surveys. People may get survey fatigue. I don't know. Thoughts?
Sure.
I would do one. I wouldn't do two.
One, I guess we could make it specific, like this is for this person, this is for this person, and put it all in one survey.
Well, what's the format? Is the format just like a Survey Monkey?
The tool would be like a Survey Monkey. The format would be rating scales of 1 through 5, and then some open-ended as well.
So a Likert scale, and then open-ended, and then it would all be through Survey Monkey.
And I think you could put comments in there. I think you could say,
and I would set it up probably through my email address. So it would be like a staff member from the school sending it out.
Yeah. Right.
I guess, what is our requirement? Do we usually do an evaluation of both the assistant principal and the principal?
We don't, but because we have this interim leader thing, which we've never had for this long of a period during the evaluation period, I didn't know if we should.
I kind of feel like it would be helpful, and the reason I say that is remembering that we would get feedback based on deans and whatever else. It kind of made it clunky to sort through what the feedback really was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do wonder I don't know if there's a way though that you can set it up such that it's one survey, but you can differentiate between who the feedback is being provided for. Does that make sense?
I mean, I could do it like, I might be able to set, I could probably, I know if I don't do it, if it's not a Survey Monkey, I might just do a Google form or a Google, because that might be easier because you have more control over the appearance of that or the flexibility. But I could say, okay, this section pertains to Summers, this section pertains to Altagonte. This section pertains to the deans, if we want dean feedback too.
It doesn't
really matter to me.
I wonder if X8 has any familiarity with a single survey.
We can touch base with Eric and Todd too.
That might be, they may have some familiarity with doing something like what we're talking about without us having to reinvent the wheel.
I know.
Yeah, I know last year when I talked to them about it, they sent me some samples, but it was,
Yeah, and they sent us a brief survey and an intensive survey. I went through the intensive survey. It took me almost 30 minutes. Maybe they don't have anything, but it might be worth it.
I'll touch base with them and see what they have.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Ian?
Well, I know in the past we've only had a survey for our head of school, our principal, but I think with the way that we structured it this year, I think if we can make it clear and concise, it would benefit us to differentiate between the interim principal and the interim assistant principal.
Yeah, I'm with
Right,
Andy on.
and I mean, and this may be a little assumption too, like, we still have to post the real principal position, right? And, so feedback, the more feedback, the better, I would think.
Well, and I think yes.
I just think we have to have one survey. If we do more than one survey, people aren't going to fill it out.
But I am gonna do it number one for parents versus staff.
Yeah, agreed.
And then,
Yes. Yeah.
And then make it known, like, staff, if you're filling this out, if you're filling out the staff survey, and you're a staff and parent, right? 'Cause we have a few of those.
Yeah.
Please do this from your staff hat, and then please do this one from your parent hat. And some of that stuff they're not gonna be able to separate out, but some of it they might, or they should be able to.
Yeah.
I agree with one, but if you can,
Sections.
what's that?
Sections.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think
Yeah, I'm
that,
gonna try. Let me see what I can come up with.
But I think we need the
I got some
feedback.
time the next week.
I think we need the feedback specific to both positions.
Right, I think so too. I mean, that would be my preference.
Well, and I think the other thing too is there's also probably feedback that would reveal to the board whether or not this model works in the sense of one principal,
Right.
one assistant principal
Because
versus.
that's the other thing that we've been throwing
Right.
around. Like, this was a method that we tried, right? Was the
Yeah.
principal, the assistant principal, and the two deans model. We've never done that before.
Right. All right. But you're saying you're going to be able to kick that off still this month.
I think I can probably have it done the week after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Got it.
I mean, I got a lot going on, but
Sure. And then
actually,
how long would it run for? A week?
I'd run it for like a week or maybe 10 days.
Okay.
Enough time that we can get the information back and disseminate it before the 19th.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Anything else?
That is it.
Okay. Next item is for discussion C, which is bylaws. I think, if I recall correctly, Andy and Stephanie, you guys had recommendations to change for purposes of election timelines, and there's also talk about maybe even steering away from having elections and just going back to 5-member board. Ultimately, we need to get that to Dustin. And I don't know if Dustin was included in I remember it was consolidated. It was written out as to what the problem set was versus what the proposed solution could be for election timeline. But we need to get that information to Dustin in order for him to look at.
I thought he had that, didn't you, Stephanie?
Well, that was quite a while ago that we sent that, so I need to re-pull that back up.
Okay. I'm going to just keep this as another discussion item
That's
then
fine.
for next meeting so that we don't lose the thread. Let me see. Action items. Bear with me.
We also kind of, tangentially to the bylaw of the board member, the elected board member positions is, we have board members terming out, we have stuff going on. I'm getting increasingly busy at work. My law firm partner was just named as the next judge for the 4th Judicial, or the magistrate for the 4th Judicial District. So I'm going to be taking on more responsibilities at work. So we really need to start looking for some replacement board members so that we don't have so we're not having a big turnover at one time.
Got it.
The recommendation was that elections shall occur in May of each year after the October funding count is complete. And then the elected directors will assume their positions at the June board meeting.
Andy, did you talk to Dustin though about doing away with the parent elections altogether?
Yes, I talked with him about the idea
Just the lack
of
of interest.
What's that?
The lack of interest.
Correct. So far we have tried to hold 2 elections for a total of 3 seats. Last year, Stephanie and I were the only 2 who applied, and we did not hold an election. We just process of elimination were seated on the board. This year, we did not get any. applications during the time frame that we laid out. We did end up receiving one late application who I spoke with Dustin about, and due to him signing a contract with the school, Dustin, and I agreed with this assessment, said that that would not be a wise route to take.
It would potentially violate the bylaws, I think was kind of the conclusion.
Right. And so it is very worrisome to me that in 2 different elections for a total of 3 positions, we have had a total of 2 on-time completed applications, and if we include an ineligible application, we've only had 3 applications for 3 open positions. That does not do what the intent was, that our community would have more of a voice, that they would have more of a say. And if you simply seat someone on the board because they're the only person that applied, or in our case, the only 2 that applied, that can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. With this, there's no real way to vet the applicant for mission and vision. Like there's just absolutely no community input whatsoever to it. And I feel as though we could lose control of the mission and vision of Liberty Tree Academy very, very quickly. And that could turn around and be something that creates a lot more problems than what it was intended to solve. I think that when it was added to the bylaws, that it was trying to I don't think that it was the right way to go, and I'm speaking as a parent elected person on the board. We have parents on the board who have been appointed and not elected. I think that it's very clear that we, as a school board and as a school, care for the input of our community. We care for this school. We want the mission and vision to be true and unending. And I don't believe that these parent elections are having any benefit to the board. I think that it was not the greatest idea, and seeing the lack of interest from the community, I think that's very clear from them that it's not needed. That's my 2 cents. When I did talk to Dustin about the process of amending our bylaws and going through the district, he did talk about just making sure that student count was that was a subject that was brought up. He didn't see really any red flags to that, but he did say that, you know, the district does more or less get final say in the amending of our bylaws. So my opinion, my 2 cents is that we at least look into that. We've tried 2 different elections and we have not had the involvement that we might have been expecting.
So I don't necessarily agree with that comment, Andy. I agree with the comment that we have not had any engagement. And to that standard, I am fine with saying that, hey, if we aren't going to have any engagement from the community, what's the point of us continuing to have elections? But to say that parents, we shouldn't offer the opportunity to parents to be on the board, that's you and I. And look at what we have brought to the board and how engaged specifically you have been with bolstering our school, bolstering our community, and how engaged you have been. And that is because we are very heavily involved in the school, invested in the success because our children are here. So I don't think you can make a blanket statement to say that parents shouldn't have a seat or a voice on.
No, that's not what I was
board.
trying to say at all.
Okay.
I was trying to actually make the opposite point. The point I was trying to make is that the board currently has 3 parents on it.
Agreed.
Only one of us are in a elected position. So it's very clear that the board doesn't need this extra hoop to jump through to have involved community members. I think that, I'll turn that around and use you as an example, that without that parent election, would that have stopped you from being a member on the board? Would that have stopped your input and your desire to see LTA grow and continue being a light on a hill? I don't think that it changes anything. I think that it's clear that this board is open and transparent, and that this board is very willing to hear from parents and community members, and that we don't need to be necessarily forced to have parents on the board. There's nothing in our bylaws outside of the parent election that state that a parent cannot be on the board. So I don't see the reasoning of having to continue to have an election when there is no.
And that I absolutely support. If we don't have any engagement, I just think it needs to be very clear that we as a board absolutely want parents to be involved and engaged and are in support of having.
I agree wholeheartedly, Stephanie.
I just don't want it to be. I also agree with the statement. We shouldn't be bound to say that we have to have a parent on the board, but I just want to make it very clear that parents should be heavily involved in the school, and I'm very, very supportive of parents being on the board because of the different engagement that we can offer, being in school, having our kids in the school, and knowing what's really going on. That's my only comment. I think we're both on the same page.
Yeah,
I think we're both there.
I mean,
but we have no engagement. Whenever we do these, we have 3 people apply.
And we're also, our next discussion is about the parent engagement team.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing to be said is, it's not that either you're on the board or you have no voice.
True.
You can be on the board as a parent, not as a parent, as long as you hold true to have children at school. In my opinion, it can help. It can also cloud the waters. It can create certain conflicts of interest that you have to know going into it. But it's not the only option. You don't.
The pathway to the board.
No, the board is not.
And SAC is a good way too. And those are also good ways for parents that are interested in becoming board members in the future to get engaged, get to know the board members, because we are a self-appointed board, to express interest, I have been involved for X amount of years, and I am interested in being a board member. I think that's the best. I think that's a better route than this, I'll call it fake election we've been having, because, we just go with the default.
Mm-hmm.
The process to
Get
getting
on the
a
board.
position on the board does not have to be hamstrung by an election, if you are
Right.
a parent.
Yeah.
Correct. I think you're both seeing.
I agree.
You're both seeing the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we just want to go right into the parent engagement team?
Yeah.
Since we're already having this discussion anyways. So I think what we need to do is we need to ensure that we have good feedback from Dustin if we're going to really and truly explore. I wonder if the better way to do that is to actually ask for a formal memo from Dustin so that we have that as a board. I think anytime you explore changing bylaws, you kind of want to have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. So I can request that from Dustin to make sure that we have what the best way forward on that is. But it sounds like revert to 5-member board, do away with elections, and obviously no prohibition on parents being on board.
Correct.
Those are the
And
three
we
things
can-
that I've captured from this discussion.
While we are changing our bylaws, we can make it very clear that there is no obstacle in being a parent and being a member on the board. that we're not trying to cut parents out by any mean. I have 4 children that go to LTA. My youngest is a kindergartner. I want this school to continue to grow for, I mean, her entire career in school and beyond that, because I believe in what we're doing here. So I think that if we make it clear that we're not trying to cut parents out in any way, but we're also not having what Jenny, I think, aptly called fake elections.
Well, instead of having an election, this is your pathway to get on the board.
Yeah.
If you are a parent and you are interested in getting on the board, here is your pathway.
Yeah.
Right.
We're no longer offering elections. This is the way you do it.
Okay, so let's go into parent engagement team. We have the
So,
proposed bylaws here, Andy.
yes, we have
A hierarchy.
different things. We have a flow chart of a proposed structure. So first off, none of this is, I know it's in ink, but none of it's in ink. It's all ideas that have, Dustin was able to share with me, from years past. I haven't even changed any dates or anything to it. I simply wanted to, show everybody what we currently have for the parent engagement team so that we can have a discussion, possibly a working session on getting this up and running.
This document goes with.
With this.
Yeah, okay.
With the flow chart. So, I think that it would be very helpful for parents to, get engaged, at the school. I think that it's also, can really, focus in on a lot of different options or avenues that parents can help with the school, whether it's fundraising, whether it's helping with, this upcoming staff lunch that is, in this case, going on tomorrow. But I think that it would be a great way to bolster parent engagement, to grow, a tighter community and a larger community. So, this information, I think at this point, is just to be looked over, to be redlined, marked up, and kind of not a blank slate, but a gentle outline versus anything set in stone or in motion. So, I was hoping to chat about it more at the working session, so hopefully we can get that rescheduled, but, do you guys have any ideas, first ideas or, any input on the parent engagement team? I know you guys are looking at this for the first time, so,
Andy, I've actually reached out to Heidi Skilling, and I have been going back in a few emails, and I encouraged her to reach out to you about the pet.
and I've reached out to another, parent here, about getting this parent engagement team up and running. So I do think that, once we get this more formalized and, kind of get it on people's radar, I don't think that we will have a lot of issues with a very helpful parent engagement team. I think there's a lot of interest. We just need to, get the guardrails up for them.
Hey, Jenny, here's an idea, and I don't know if it would make it too clunky, but since we're discussing doing the principal survey, and there's going to be a survey specifically for parents, I wonder if we can include something about like interest in joining parent engagement team, and just have a yes or no.
Like if you're interested, please. What is your name?
Yeah, and
I
maybe
like
it's maybe it's both. Maybe it is just a yes or no, like interest or no interest, because that'll give us a gauge as to what the response might be.
Yeah.
The
And-
only question I have
One thing
about
that I do
that
want to
is,
add to that as well is, where do you get most of your information about LTA? Because I'm wondering if the parents aren't reading the email blogs too.
my only concern about having that on the survey is what are they saying yes to? That if we don't have this more, built up, that, are we, I guess the question is, do we want prospective parent engagement team members to help us build this, or do we want to get a shell that they then already fill in? Does that make sense?
I think the purpose of the survey is to see what the interest is.
Yeah.
I think we just put it out there right now. If anybody is listening, listens to this later, is interested in helping form the pet committee, reach out to Andy. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah. Mr.Stuckbush@ltaeagles.org.
Bridge a little bit to initially round out what the pet could look like. So, are you still there, Jenny? I wonder if we lost her.
We had this on our webpage at all.
I put this on the Google Drive, so it is. It's under.
And that's actually another. Just hearing you say that, an interest form for the parent engagement team on the website.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
kind of
No,
like a-
it's not on.
No, well, we haven't adopted the bylaws yet.
Right.
But we could certainly put something on the website that would,
Maybe generate interest. Who knows?
Yeah. or even utilize social media, I guess, to also gauge interest.
Parents, because we think, oh, are they looking at Facebook? And so some have said Facebook, some have said, no, we don't have social media, so we only do email, which is why when we do anything, that we send it out.
Yep, on all
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah.
But there are parents that have been volunteering and helping.
Okay.
I don't think that you can have them put their email address in there because it is an anonymous survey, but if interested, do these next steps.
Yeah. Okay. Jenny, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. I think you went away for a minute, but no. So it sounds like don't solicit email addresses. Just provide Andy's email address, and then we can go from there. Okay, perfect.
I'm hearing it.
All right. Let's move on to E, which is land. I think we did discuss a little bit of this. Obviously, there's a meeting on December 10th. I will not be here. I will actually be out of town on December 10th. I think it would be helpful in the December meeting on the 19th under board member reports. I'm not sure if we can identify if it's going to be Andy to go to that meeting or if there's going to be another board member, but specifically hearing during that board member's report feedback of that December 10th meeting.
6 or 6:30. I can get that.
Would you just do an email to the board, Andy, that has date, time, location of that so that it's available?
And Andy, I'll make an effort to be there as well if I can.
But I think we're going to need
open
some.
house is Saturday. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. I'll get an email out.
Thank you.
That would be helpful. And then principal posting, that's item number F. That is with Indeed currently. It will either be posted tonight or tomorrow. Indeed has a process of approving, I guess, the posting. I've already emailed it to Ms. Summers and Ms. Eltagani so that it can get posted internally so that we are checking both blocks for the external and internal hiring processes.
Is it going to be on the website too? And then also, Tim, I know that that charters, I think it was the Colorado Charter School group or whatever, that they had a posting board too that we've used in the past.
Because I did it there before.
Yeah, I think Dustin has all of that, so I think we just need to go to Dustin too.
Yeah,
and see if he can
Hillsdale.
push it out to whoever.
Hillsdale does the way that we did it previously was there's an alum page that's specific to Hillsdale alum.
Right,
Kind of like
because I
some
think
board.
we can't go through their regular
Correct.
channels because we're not.
Yes, but we can go through that process. So that's I've already got that with a Hillsdale graduate who is putting it on their alum website.
And if you send it to me too,
You have
I
it.
can probably get it posted at the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota, which is
Yeah, you have it.
Huge
It's in.
education school.
I emailed the description to everybody tonight.
okay.
So it is all in you. You have a good PDF. But anyways, and then the idea is that closes January 5th at 11:59 p.m. The reason for that, most recommendations, if you talk to anybody, is you post in December, you let it ride all the way through the December. You have the holidays when people have downtime.
and folks that are interested have a good amount of time to pull everything together and then submit a strong application. So that's the idea, so that we can fully leverage that time off for people of interest in a principal position may have. And then board handbook. Jenny, I'm going to ping this over to you.
Yeah, so this was in, I think, the August materials, and we didn't get to it, and we never circled back. There's a draft board handbook, and it's in the Google Drive. It's in the August board docs packet. I would like people to look at that so that we can, I was hoping on, like Andy, to handle this part of this during the working session, but that didn't happen. So if people could look at that so we can get our board handbook, I know that's one of the things the district really wants from us to make sure we have. So if people can look at it so we can get feedback, hopefully at the next meeting and vote on it so we can get at least get that item checked off the list, that would be great.
And I guess since you're saying next board meeting, since that topic just came up, December 19th is supposed to be our next board meeting. I don't know what people's plans are for the holidays.
I can do it if we can do it virtual.
Okay. That's interesting.
Or if I can be virtual.
Which, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Well, let's start there. Is there, if the 19th works for everybody, in person, virtual, or participate as you can?
Let's just do it virtual because people, I mean, let's just plan on it being virtual. I mean, though, we probably have to have executive session. Let's plan on doing it in person if we can.
We can still do an executive session virtually, Jenny.
I know. Whatever people want. I don't have a preference, I guess.
Andy?
I always
defer to
in person. If we need to do it virtual, then let's get after it that way.
Okay.
And it sounds like it will be a virtual meeting. I don't know.
I'm fine with doing it here. I'll be in town. I'm not going anywhere. Mike?
I'm here.
You're here? So why don't we do it in person, and those that need to attend virtually can just attend virtually. Do you have that flexibility?
Sounds good. Are we going to try to do a working session before then or not? I mean, it's going to be so tight.
I mean, with the holidays pressing, I'm out of town.
And you're out of town till like what, the 16th or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just try to everybody work on their stuff so we can all hang out.
I think that
on that day and kick out as much as we can.
Yeah, I think that
you're strong.
The earliest that we're going to be able to do a work session is going to be sometime in January now.
Okay.
Because I'm on
It's going to be the worst time for me, but we'll figure it out.
I'm on a 2-week training exercise, so I'm in Washington State. So, anyways, okay, all right. So December 19th is the next meeting.
Well, and the other thing too is like if any of us do need to meet, like, you know, there's something that comes up, we can always notice a special session in with 10 days notice to each other.
Sure.
And posting an agenda, and it doesn't. I mean, if we take no action, we don't need quorum.
Correct.
So we can always just remember that too if something comes up.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of board handbook and I guess dates, since we were discussing dates. We are now at item number 10, which is public comment. I'm not seeing anybody in the room, but let me go ahead and read this in case there is interest. Public comment. We appreciate and welcome comments on Liberty Tree Academy school operations and programs as part of our public comment. We ask that your comments be made in a respectful and orderly manner. Follow-up action items may be assigned to the appropriate board or staff member depending on the comments. During public comment, the board members may choose not to respond to any comment made in public session. In accordance with board policy, public participation is limited to 3 minutes per person. Thank you for participating in our public comment forum. And I'm not seeing any takers on public comment. Announcements, December 19th is next board meeting. We'll still do it here live. And if you need to attend virtually, just let me know in advance and we can, specifically because we will have an executive session. So just being able to figure that out and knowing that we have a solid plan in place, that's going to be important. All right, and then if there isn't anything else, we are adjourned. Thank you all. Thanks, Jenny.
She got.
Yeah.